Hi, my name is Mark, and today I'd like to tell you more about Kinfire Delve Scorn Stockade. I have received this game for review from Incredible Dream Studios. Thanks a lot for sending it. And Kinfire Delve Scorn Stockade is like a second base game released from the series. The first one was called Vainglory's Grotto, and this is like a fantasy small card game in which you play as heroes and you have to defeat a boss. In this game, this is Scorn. In a previous set, it was Vainglory's. The idea here is that each of those games, there will be three in total. It's like a separate game. You have two heroes and one boss, but if you have the second boss, the second box like this one, or the third one, you will have 6 heroes together and 3 bosses, and you can combine them together. You can play like a hero from box number 1 against the boss from box number 3. So the more boxes you have, the more variety you have. Just like in, for example, Eons and games, that each of those games is a separate base game, but they can be combined together. And what is the goal of this game? You are heroes. You will go down a well in which there is, at the bottom of the well, there is this magical creature, the boss, that you need to defeat. If you have one box, you can play it with 1 or 2 players. If you have 2 sets, you can play up to 4 people. Now I will show you how the game plays, and then I will tell you my opinion on Kinfire Delve. This is Kinfire Delve prepared for a solo game. If you play with 2 or more people, the rules are more or less the same. Each hero has got less cards in his or her hand, but you still share the same life points, so basically it's very similar. So let me focus on the solo game. Here on the right side we have our hero. In the game box you have 2 heroes. Here is one, but there is also another one with completely different deck of action cards, different abilities, so the heroes are very asymmetrical. If you want to play with 3 or 4 players, you need a second box. You can have the Kinfire Delve Vainglory Grotto and Kinfire Delve Scorn Stockade. If you have these 2 sets, you can play with 4 people. Normally, if you have just one box, you can play with 1 or 2 players. So this is our hero. Our hero has got a deck of action cards. You will use those cards to overcome different challenges in this game. You have your Seeker, your hero card with some special ability. Each hero has got different ability. And you have this Lantern card. This card starts face down, but during the game, as for example a reward for completing a challenge, you will be able to flip this card face up and use its ability. But this card stays face down. You have this black die to track your life points. You have 10 life points. If you go at any point you lose all your life points and you have 0 health, you will lose the game. Here we have some dice that will roll during challenges, and here we have 8 action cards. If you play solo, at the start of the game you will draw 8 cards, less cards if you play with more people. Normally you can hold these cards in your hand, but when I play solo, I like to lay them down on the table so I can see all the abilities and icons and numbers on those cards. It's more convenient than holding them in my hand. So here are the action cards that you will use to overcome these challenges. On the left side of the table we have this, you can say, boss area. First we have our boss, Scorn, the Well Master, that we need to defeat in order to win the game. We have 3 variants of Scorn. On this side they look the same, but on the other side they have different, you can say, life points, different difficulty level, different abilities. So at the start of the game you have to shuffle them and randomly take one, so you never know which variant of Scorn you will face during the game. Here we have the Well deck, and this is deck of cards full of challenges and events, but mostly challenges that you will have to overcome and win in order to remove cards from this deck. Because this deck symbolizes going down the well, and in order to fight Scorn, you have to remove all the cards from this deck, either by completing challenges, because there are always 4 challenges available for you to overcome. If one of them is completed, you will take top cards from this deck and you will add another challenge here, but sometimes rewards from completing challenges will allow you to discard cards from this deck. But basically, this deck needs to be empty in order to fight Scorn. You remove 3 cards from this deck at the start of the game, and you place 4 challenges on top, bottom, left and right of the boss here. We also have this deck of exhaustion cards. In this game, you don't draw new cards. You start with 8 cards. When you use your action cards, they will be discarded, but you don't get any new cards at the end of your turn. For example, if you want to get 8 new cards in solo mode 8, less cards in other player modes, in order to draw new cards, you have to take one of these exhausted cards. And having a lot of them is not very good, because when you take one of those cards, you will put it face up in your player area, and the effect of this card will be will affect the game. Usually there are sets of cards, and if you have more of them, if you have 3 specific cards from this deck face up in your player area, then you will lose the game. So there are some ways to remove the exhausted cards, but basically you have to be careful, because drawing new cards is connected with getting these exhausted cards. Here we have some gauntlet cards. These are the special challenges that you will have to defeat in order to defeat Scorn. But the basic challenges that you get during the game look like this. Let's take this one for example. This is a typical challenge card. You have different type, like obstacle. Here we have puzzle, combat for example. So there are different types of challenges. It matters because some of your action cards, they affect specific type of challenges. Here we have a name, some artwork, some fluff text, a special ability that somehow can affect the game. You have to read all those abilities on those cards. Sometimes this is an effect that here, for example, if there are 2 other copies of the obelisks in play, you lose the game. So you cannot leave this obstacle on the table for too long, because if 2 other obelisks come into play, you will lose the game. But sometimes there is a text that tells you what to do when you overcome this challenge, or if you some penalties or stuff like this. Here is this the difficulty of this challenge. You have to get that many points in order to win this challenge. Here is the reward that you get for winning the challenge, and here is penalty for not winning, not overcoming this challenge. At the start, okay, and one more important thing is the color, because you have this blue border here. Here we have a red border, and here we have a green border. And this is important because the cards, the action cards that you can play in order to win a challenge, they have to be in color of this challenge that you want to win. So let's say that we want to win this challenge called the obelisks. The difficulty is 6. So at the start of your turn, you have to pick one of the challenge that you want to overcome in your turn. So this is this one, and now you can play one of your cards as an action card, as a main card. You don't have to play any cards. You can try to overcome a challenge without playing any cards, but probably you would like to, because the cards give you some special abilities and bonuses. Let's say that I would like to play, I don't know, maybe this card, Intuition. This is a blue card. This obstacle, the obelisks are also blue, so I can play this card. And this card has got a value in the top left corner, and this is the, you can say, power of this card. So the basic power is 3. Here you have some ability, special ability. If you play this card to overcome a challenge, you can trigger this ability. Here, if attempting a puzzle, you may reroll once for free. But this is not a puzzle, this is an obstacle, so I cannot use this ability. But my basic power is 3. So I can, for example, use this action card to try to overcome this challenge. Let me put it here. Now I can boost my action card with up to additional cards. Normally, when you play not solo with 2, 3 or 4 players, you cannot boost your own cards, but in a solo game, because you play alone, you don't have other players, you can boost your own cards. And this means that you can choose any other action card that you have in your hand to add power to this card. Of course, the card that you want to use to boost this one has also got to be in the color of the challenge you are trying to overcome. So let's say I would like to play this card. This card, if I want to play this action card to boost other card, I will only look at the bottom part of it. The top part here is not important. I cannot use any abilities of this card. I cannot use this value here. I have to use the bottom value here. And I will put it like this. So the power of my cards is 3 plus 2, so it's 5. I could use another card to boost it even more, but remember that all the cards that you use in the challenge will be discarded, and if I want to draw new cards, I have to take this exhausted card, and let's say that I don't want to take them because they are not very positive for me. So, if you choose a card, an action card to play, and then if you choose cards to boost, then you will roll this 4 dice. 3 of them, they have different colors, blue, red, green, and if the color matches the obstacle you want to overcome, the challenge you want to overcome, you will add, they will add to your power. And you also have this die with 3 white sides and 3 dark sides. Normally dark means nothing and white color means success, but sometimes the symbols here also matter and some effects can be on other cards. But basically you will roll those dice, and I have rolled something like this: 2 red symbols, 1 blue and 1 white. My cards have value 5, 3 plus 2 from the boost, plus 1 from this blue die, and plus 1 from this white die. So it's 3 plus 2 plus 1, it's 7. So I have 7 power. 7 is higher than 6. I need to score at least 6 to overcome this challenge, so I'm successful and this challenge is defeated. Those cards go to my discard, and this challenge is, I have won this challenge. I will get this reward. Here it means I can flip up my lantern card and use it in a future round. And I will discard this challenge to a stack of challenges that I won. You have to place them somewhere on the table, and then at the end of my turn I will refill this empty space with a new challenge. In this deck there can also be events like this one, for example, not only challenges, and if you choose an event from one of the 4 cards here, you will just read this text and do what it says. You will not have to score any points or play any action cards. What happens if you don't get that many points that are required to score a challenge, to win a challenge? So for example, let's say that this challenge difficulty is 8 and I had 6 power from all my cards and the dice roll. I would put 6 in those tokens here, and this is my progress. So this progress will stay for the next round. You will not lose your progress, but you will suffer the penalty. The penalty here is 1 damage, so you will reduce this die to 9. So you have lost 1 life point, but the progress here will stay, and you can continue working on this challenge card in your future round. But you got those penalty. If at any point this deck is empty and you have to refill a challenge around the boss, it means that you are down the well and you can fight with the boss. You will discard all other challenges, you will flip the boss card face up, you will read what happens here. If failed and you roll this symbol on this on this die, discard 1 extra card for each card attached to Scorn. So it has got some special effect. Now you have to place all those gauntlet cards around the boss, and you have to defeat the boss in order to win the game. But you cannot fight with the boss straight away because he's got this black border and there are no black cards in your action cards because you have blue, red, or green cards. Some of your action cards have 2 colors. Some of your action cards are even white, and this is like a white color that can be used instead of all the other 3 colors, but you don't have any black colors. And in order to be able to defeat Scorn, you have first to overcome some of the challenges around him. For example, if you manage to overcome this gauntlet card, you will flip it and it says that Scorn is now vulnerable to red actions. So you can use your red action card to damage Scorn. If you flip this card, now you can use blue action cards to damage Scorn. So the more gauntlet cards you defeat around him, the more action cards from your deck the more action cards of different colors you can use to defeat him. If you defeat Scorn, you win the game. If you lose all your life points, you will lose the game. So this is basically how you play Kinfire Delve. Let's wrap it up and let me tell you what I think about this game. So what can I tell you about Kinfire Delve? I can tell you the same thing that I told you about the first Kinfire Delve game that I have reviewed in January this year, I think. I like this game a lot. I like the whole Kinfire Delve series a lot. I think this is a clever card game that plays solo really well. You have 2 different heroes. You have a boss that feels different than the boss in the first game. You have different challenges than in the first game. It's really cool. My con when I reviewed the first Kinfire Delve was that the replayability is kind of limited with only 2 heroes and 1 boss. But having 2 boxes now, 2 base games, I have 4 heroes and 2 different bosses. There will be a third one quite soon, I think in September, if I'm not mistaken, August or September. So with 3 games in the series, you will have a lot of bosses and heroes to play, especially that each boss feels different and each hero feels different. Each set of challenge cards feels different, so this is really cool. Just like Ion said, I already said that at the start of the video, but it reminds me a lot that you can combine all those games together. I like this delve mechanic that you have to go down this well deck and you have to dig those cards away from this deck in order to fight the boss. It's really cool. The action cards are interesting, the characters are interesting. They are taken from the Kinfire Chronicles adventure game. I also did a review of this game as well, so you can find it on my channel. I'm not sure if Incredible Dream Studios will release more than 3 games from Kinfire Delve series. I think they have a lot of plans for this Kinfire universe. There was Kinfire Chronicles, Kinfire Delve, and there was the third one on Kickstarter recently. I don't remember the name. It was not an adventure game, rather a strategy game from what I remember. So they will expand this universe, but I'm not sure if with those small card games. But if you like to play solo, okay, this plays well with 2, 3, 4 people as well, but this is a perfect game to play solo. If you like solo games, card games, fantasy games, you should definitely try it. It's not expensive, it costs $20. So even if you buy all 3 sets, it's still $60. Great price for such a, you can say, big game if you combine all 3 sets together with 6 heroes and 3 bosses. The production quality is really nice. The box have thick cardboard, the boxes. The cards are really nice. They have this gold foil on them. Really nice. Really cool game. If you play solo and if you like fantasy games, I highly recommend Kinfire Delve. Click the like button if you like this video. You can subscribe to my channel. You can visit me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. There are a lot of photos and reviews of games that can be played solo. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.